Hello guys, so I was just doing some brainstorming on my trading journey. One thing that I'm very keen on is scaling my capital, because when I look at my trading journey, something that I notice, which is very interesting, is for the last about 2 years, I think my performance has been very consistent. But as much as I've been able to do some significant payouts and scale up my capital, it's very interesting how the same percentages I was returning, let's say 5% a month like the whole of last year, the same percentage on a bigger account will equal more monetary gains. So trading is one of those fields where for you to make more money sometimes, it's not about working twice as hard. All you need to do is scale up your capital and the same returns can make you more gains. So last year, which is 2024, I had a goal to achieve about $500,000 in funding. Now my long-term goal is still the million USD, but I wanted to hit 500K first. And my plan to hit 500K was very practical. I was almost certain I'd achieve it, but let me just explain to you what happened. So on funded next, I wanted to hit about 200K, which I managed to raise about 170. Then I was supposed to pass another 200K in one of the prop firms that I considered, was stable at the moment. And this is where I took the 200K on Alpha Capital. I managed to pass phase 1. I was in phase 2 progressing well. And just on the verge of passing my 200K so that my capital can be at about almost 400, I got the ban from Alpha Capital. So that really distorted my plan for last year. And by the time I got banned, I was able to have about 3 or 4 more profitable months. So clearly, I'd have done a couple of payouts on that account as well. However, I still had another 100K on the 5%ers, which I passed phase 1 and is still in phase 2 as we speak. So my goal was on these 3 prop firms. Funded next, that's about 170. Alpha Capital should have been 200 and 5%ers would have been 100. But the account on the 5ers is still in phase 2 progressing well, so I'm still certain I'll achieve that funding anytime soon, of which I'll definitely keep you guys updated. So long story short, I wasn't able to achieve my goal of $500,000 in prop capital, and I'm embarking on the same journey this year. So far, I've had a couple of slow months. I've not yet had a negative month. I've been profitable, but the performance has been very low. I've not been getting a lot of setups on my market, simply because most of the pairs I've been trading since the year began have been going to the opposite direction as compared to what I was expecting. So I've not been getting that many setups, hence the slow performance. But from how I look at trading, these are normal things. Sometimes you'll have seasons where you have back-to-back huge months, and then sometimes you have the slow months. What matters is you don't blow your account, you maintain your capital, so that when the big months come, you still have your accounts intact. And that's the same thing I'm trying to do at the moment. Now, I've been scrolling through PropFirmMatch and trying to look at the different prop firms as I think of how I can scale my capital fast to the $500,000 mark, then eventually to $1 million or 1.5 million USD in terms of prop capital. And from their website, they have a list of firms which I want us to go through. Just do some brainstorming, and you guys can also share your opinion and your thoughts on what we'll be discussing. The reason why I'm thinking of scaling my capital is very simple. You see, trading is a journey, and just like in any other career, you have goals and those milestones that you want to achieve. I try to be as practical as possible in my milestones, and so far I'm grateful for the journey, because if I look back, here are some of the milestones that I wanted to achieve in trading. The first one is very simple: be profitable, because as you know, most traders don't even make money from the market, and I was one of those struggling traders for over a 3-year period of no consistency. So achieving profitability was the first milestone. After doing that, the second milestone for me was just passing my first prop firm. In 2022, I started my prop firm journey officially, and I didn't have a lot of success. I failed a couple of them. So it's until 2023 that I eventually got funded. So I managed to pass my first prop firm. After passing my first prop firm and doing some payouts, the next milestone was achieving 6 figures in prop capital. And by 6 figures is anything above $100,000 funding. And again, last year, which is 2024, I was able to achieve that. Even got one of my accounts scaled up. Another goal for me was achieving at least $10,000 in prop firm withdrawals. Managed to hit that a while back. And now I'm at a point where I think, even before I start talking of just capital, the reason why I want to scale up is I'm not thinking of goals such as making $10,000 a month from trading. And I know you can definitely achieve more. You can even make 30, 50, 100K. But again, for me, I'm on my own unique journey. I don't like to rush my process or compare myself to other traders. I just stay on my lane. I'm very practical with my milestones. Once I achieve the 10K a month, then I'll now start talking about 20 to 50K a month. After achieving the 50K a month, I can now think of 100K a month plus. But right now, my goal is now to get to a point where you can make figures such as 10K a month in trading. And this is where the capital factor comes in. Now, using prop firms, there are different ways to achieve 10K a month, and we can do the math. 10K a month on $1 million is barely 1% return. 10K a month on a $200,000 prop will require you to to make about 5% a month. But again, this means you have to hit it consistently. And even myself, as much as I was averaging 5%, it doesn't mean I make 5% every month. Some months I make 8%, some months 2%. Also, considering the prop firm still has to do the 80% profit split, you might not achieve it consistently unless you have very big months every other time. And it's not practical that every month will be big in the market. Now, with $300,000 prop capital, 10K a month is about 3%. And now this is where it gets more interesting. If you have $500,000 prop capital, 10K a month is only 2%. Because of this reason that I'm very interested in scaling up my capital, because I personally want to get to a point where I don't even have to target the 5% months, but I want to get to a point where my trading is so smooth such that even with a 2% month, I can still be able to make figures such as 10K. That's why I believe focusing on capital is a priority for me. And for every trader out there, I believe at some point you should be very intentional to focus on scaling your capital. Now, also I've mentioned this before that I personally don't look at trading as a career that's going to make me wealthy or something. Because from what I think, even if you make 30, 50, 100K a month, it's very difficult to maintain that consistency unless you have crazy capital. And regardless of the capital, you'll still have negative months. Trading is very mental and sometimes it still affects your psychology. It doesn't matter the level of experience that you have. So I personally want to look at trading as a pathway to just assist me to maybe invest in other things. So my plan to scale my capital right now, if I look at the prop firms that I am watching out for. So I'll start with funded next, where I'm aiming to get my capital to about 200,000. I'm almost there, so I think with funded next, that's something that I can almost count that I'll achieve easily. Then you do have the 5%ers, which I'm also 100K in phase 2. Aiming to pass it. With the 5%ers, after passing the first 100K, they have allocation for you to take a second 100K in their high stakes challenge. So 200 from funded next plus 200 from 5ers is the long-term goal, which puts the capital at now about 400. Now I'm using PropFirmMatch because most of the companies here, you can trust them. Like the 5%ers on PropFirmMatch alone has about 12,000 favorites, a rating of about 4.8 star and 665 reviews. The thing with PropFirmMatch is all the reviews here are very legit. I personally have tried to submit my review on PropFirmMatch a while back, and before they approve your review, even the payouts, you have to upload all the proof that you are funded with that company. You even have to upload the certificates to them. So the reviews in PropFirmMatch can be trusted. Hence, I try to look at the company that they've recommended, but of course you still need to do some due diligence. For instance, I personally still prefer a company that has been there for maybe a longer period of time, such things. So the third company I'm watching out for is FTMO, of which with FTMO, the max allocation I think is about 400,000. So adding the 400K of FTMO brings the capital at about 800,000. Now it's at this point that I have some challenges because initially I planned to go for E8 markets, but I just noticed E8 markets banned my country, Kenya, from their list. I don't know why, because in Kenya trading is regulated and I've not seen another prop firm that has banned Kenya from their list. So I'm not so sure why they did that. But for some reason, you can't trade with E8 markets in my country at the moment. Otherwise, this could have given an extra 400K. Alpha Capital gave me a ban, so definitely not on my list. However, there are a few firms that I'm looking at. A firm like Funding Pips, I've not used it before, but based on what I'm seeing here, almost 10,000 favorites. It has a lot of reviews, though the rating is quite low as compared to a company like FTMO and E8 and let's say the 5%ers. The rating is quite low, but still I believe if many traders are getting paid out and the company has been stable for around 2 years, in my own opinion, it's still not a very bad firm. So FTMO, 5ers, Funded Next are top of my list right now, and E8 markets, of course, if it works in your country. But apart from that, still you can't discredit all these other firms because most of them are still doing consistent payouts for the traders who are not breaching their rules. So Funding Pips is a company I'd look at, which if I'm not wrong, their max capital should be about 200. And you can correct me in the comment section if, I'm wrong with the information, but that's what I think last time I checked. And adding Funding Pips to the list makes the capital at about $1 million. Long term, I'd like to scale as high as past $1 million, which means at some point I might still need to look for other firms because once you're maxed out with all the top firms, you have no choice but to now start giving these other firms a chance. So basically on the PropFirmMatch website, under the favorite firms, we have a number of companies, and we have a company like Marvin, which I've never used at all. We have these funding traders. I've also heard about it. I've seen traders getting payouts. We have Got Funded. I've also seen it it on the internet for a while. And we also have 4 traders, which I mentioned in one of my reviews last year. And the rating is also quite good, 4.8 star, about 700 users on PropfirmMatch who are active traders of this company. So it's also a firm that I'm willing to give a chance. Of late, we've also been having a rise of broker-backed prop firms like Blueberry Funded, a company that is backed by a broker. So Blueberry was initially a forex broker, but then they get into the business of starting a prop firm. And the anticipation is that such firms should have stability because they're not just depending on the challenge fees for you to lose to get the liquidity, but the fact that they are backed by their broker, it means already they are liquid. And most prop firms have been failing because of a problem of not being able to pay out their traders. I think you also have more, which I can't see here, but we have Owanda Prop Trader, which by now we've seen Owanda has now been acquired by FTMO. We have Pink Capital, which is a prop firm backed by Think Markets broker. And we have IC Funded. IC Funded is backed by IC Markets. So there are a couple of prop firms out there that can assist you to scale your capital, whether it's $1 million, 1.5, 2 million. But I think if you get to about 1.5 to 2 million USD in prop firms, it becomes very difficult for you to scale past that, because by then you will have maxed out the best companies. So the rest, which look kind of fishy, you might have a couple of issues here and there, but that's just my opinion. So as a trader, I'll encourage you to have it in your goals to scale up your capital. You can visit PropfirmMatch and try to find the firm that suits your needs. With PropfirmMatch, the advantage is you can compare the different companies. So if you click on, let's say, Funding Pips, you find a page where there's an overview of the company. So Funding Pips has an instant challenge, 1 step, 2 step, and 3 step. This is the leverage of each of them. They offer metals, indices, crypto, etc. You can see the commissions here, $7 per lot. You can check the firm's rules. So basically, you can do a quick comparison on this site until you find the company that suits your needs as a trader. So I'll have the links in the video description. Also, as I come to the end of the video, I'm very curious to know what your thoughts are on scaling capital, and most importantly, what are your top prop firms? What are those companies that you are personally looking for? If you are to scale up, let's say, to $1 million in prop firms, feel free to drop in the comment section the breakdown of the companies you would go for and the max capital that they offer. So that's it for this video. Nothing much, just to give you an insight into building capital and to challenge you so that you understand sometimes the difference between what you're earning now versus the potential earnings you can have in the market is just capital. You don't need to work twice as hard. You don't need to change your strategy or look for a holy grail system. That 3% a month consistently on a large account can literally assist you to make a lot of income from the market. So let's see how this trading year will be. I'll definitely give you guys updates on, some of the challenges I'll take as the year goes by and also the progress of that. Otherwise, I'll see you next time. Peace.